Hello everybody, it's Thursday and I'm back! Gotta say it's hard to be back after beautiful spring weather, coming back to onset of winter here in Reno, Nevada, but so it is. It was an incredible journey. For those of you that don't know, my name is Araya Anra. I am a psychic medium, energy healer, a life coach, and I'm a dragon guide. I am a dragon myself, and I guide others to open to the dragons, to recognize themselves as dragon, to really understand that realm and how they can work with it. That's one of the things I do. It started with a book 10 years ago called The Dragon Within at dragonwithin.com. But many of you here in my For the Love of Dragons group already know that and are waiting to hear all about the adventures through Egypt and South Africa. And wow, it was such an amazing, amazing journey. It's hard to even put words to all of it, so I'm just going to share some of what went on. Many of you did the transmission journey with me. It was definitely something that would transform and shift, because as many of you know, this was about awakening the black dragon, the female black dragon sitting under the continent of Africa. She's been suppressed and in a comatose like sleep state for all of the millennia that we've been in the patriarchal swing, this domination, the suppression of the feminine. And so many groups, many factions have been all about awakening the divine feminine. We've known that energy was ready to be awakened again, and it's part of all the different systems on the planet, right? So everybody's been doing their work and bringing that out, but the final piece of the puzzle, because as we reverse out what we're doing, how we came into being in matter, and we're reversing it out as we step from 3D into 5D and beyond. And so the unpinning of this journey is really about stepping backwards. So if the dragon piece was the first step in to every level of the journey, then they're the last step out on every level of the journey. So all these other factions have been doing all this work. I used to teach Womb Wisdom workshops, used to do a lot of divine feminine and shadow work, and so this is the final piece. It doesn't negate or invalidate those, doesn't mean we still don't need them. But with the black dragon female finally unchained, unnetted, she is alive and well and awake. And I want to share what I experienced in actually seeing and feeling her actually come online. So the journey of the transmissions, the journey through Egypt, was really the preparation for that. It was setting up the phases for her to be able to come back online. And we started with every temple, every place that we walked between, Giza, where we started in Saqqara and the Sphinx, and then ended in the Great Pyramids there, but traveling all the way up to Aswan, to the Isis Temple in Philae, and then going down to Luxor, visiting temples all along the way. Essentially what was happening is every place that we walked, two of my dragon hearts and I were on the trip, but there were some other dragons in the group, but not really consciously aware of it. And they process of just walking in that space with intention was actually undoing the netting and pulling the netting apart from her. Really interesting facet of that was that in the very beginning in Egypt, I didn't see dragons anywhere. There weren't any in the landscape. Granted, there's a lot of just flat desert, but I couldn't sense or feel any. Hi Bonnie, nice to see you. There were none in the clouds, in the skies. Didn't sense any energy at all until we got about halfway through the journey. And then as I called in the air dragons to come for a ceremony in one of the specific places, all of a sudden in the courtyard, within 30 seconds, I kid you not, of calling them in, magnificent huge air dragon in the skies. I think I showed that photo into the group. But hi Lee, good to see you. Just sharing about South Africa and Egypt. Anyway, so from that point forward, they started showing up in the skies. A little further down the Nile, they started showing up in the landscape, and then very prevalent around the Valley of the Kings, around Dendara, just so many then. And then I actually left the Egypt group and went down to South Africa. I had to make my way to her crown chakra, so that on the 7th of November, as many of you realize, we were aligning at sunrise at 5:55 a.m. With me in the crown chakra down in South Africa, and the other two dragon hearts and the group in the Great Pyramid in Giza. So they're inside the King's Chamber. They align with us energetically, and all of those people receiving transmissions around the world also receive the energy, which send it out into the webs all around the globe, and this was a beautiful aspect of it. But I did leave early because I needed to get myself down there. So the beautiful part of this journey I want to share with you was that as I flew into Johannesburg for my first connection, I looked outside as we landed on the tarmac, and there were a few dragons in the sky saying, hello, hello, nice to see you. Well, from that point forward, my next flight from Johannesburg down to Cape Town, it was literally, I was like a 4-year-old playing again. It was so much fun because there were hundreds, if not thousands, of dragons outside the windows of the plane on either side, and there were babies and there were grandmas, and they were darting and jetting and just taking turns of who could look over this way. It was super fun, and they escorted me all the way into Cape Town. Got down there, and as I landed, got a beautiful shot of the spit of land that comes into the bay right there around Cape Town. I found out later, I realized later when I finally got up on a Table Mountain, but Table Mountain itself is the back of a dragon. And I saw the whole ridgeline, I saw the face, I saw everything, and it was like, wow, look at that guy, a big, huge nostril, very evident in the Cape, and wasn't expecting that landing there. Beautiful greeting committee. Hi, Inger, nice to see you. And so snapped a photo of that, and then knew, like, he was already communicating with me. He's already awake and was communicating to saying, I need you to come visit me. And so that was on the very end of my tour. I made a point to get out there and do that. And I'll share a little bit about that if I have time. But hi, Misty, good to see you. So getting down to the crown chakra, what I found amazing of the journey was I went from an aspect in the Egypt portion of really seeing a lot of shadows, seeing a lot of mirror reflections of myself, and a lot of disharmonic amongst some of the experiences, some of the group we were in. And it was this beautiful reflection of the two sides of the equation that we're in, that we're trying to bring into balance within ourselves. So it was a journey of releasing all the old pieces of ourselves, both our masculine and our feminine, because we've been out of balance. We're not in that inner sacred union. Whatever reflects within us is also reflecting in the world, and vice versa. And so with this imbalance in the world, all of these pieces that are balanced in the world are also free to release. And so in my own inner masculine, feminine, hi Rhea, nice to see you, letting that drop, letting that fall, and then being allowed to open into the new, into this doorway of stepping into receiving heart expansion, huge levels of having those within myself come into balance, have a new aspect of my feminine masculine birth itself, because the phoenix is birthing. The black dragon, as she releases, and there was a lot of sadness and grief as I tuned in with Tiamat and the black dragon early on, because they're going through birthing processes. Tiamat's birthing Gaia, and the black dragon is birthing this new phoenix. And we say, well, we've had phoenix energy around before, but this is the new level of it. This is the phoenix who burns himself up and gets rebirthed into its next higher version of itself, right? So this is the phoenix actually coming into a sacred masculine, balanced masculine form. And if you look at, and this is all up to you, but Google Earth is phenomenal now at being able to see topography. Google Earth and look at the Mediterranean, look at the continent of Africa. You can see the black dragon's outline. Her head is down with her crown chakra in the middle of the Garden District, and her bump on her head is right around the Cape Town notch there. Her nose going up around into Namibia. And so you can see her flow. You can see the wing out into Saudi Arabia. You can see the tail wrap around the Mediterranean. While she's birthing into the Mediterranean, if you look at the floor of the Mediterranean and the topography, you will see upside down there with a beak pointing towards, I believe, Syria, this little baby phoenix. It's incredible, and it's very easy to spot. When you'll see the beak, you'll see the little eyes, you'll see the little wings, just like a baby chick. The wings are in that funky sort of baby chick form. The body, the tail, everything's very visible. So I encourage you to Google Earth that and look at it, because that is our baby phoenix that is birthing and bringing that masculine energy in that's balanced and sacred. So the unfolding, which was beautiful in South Africa, I did not expect it. I went with no expectation, but I was whisked away with a beautiful group of South Africans that essentially met my every need. They carried me where I needed to be. They had set up talks and helped set up workshops, and we got to go, my new friend Charles Pianar and Deveshni Naidu, who help facilitate everything. They went with me on Tuesday, the day before the activation, and we had to go to 4 different sites. I had actually narrowed it down energetically to this specific region between Georgia and Nysna. And Charles does dowsing. He does energetic grids for the planet, and so he actually helped me narrow down to 2 other spots right between there. Unbeknownst to us, he had some information come in with orbs everywhere and some photos of a place called Black Lake. Ends up that was our activation site. Absolutely unexpected, but isn't it amazing that the town of George, hello George the Dragon Slayer, the town of Nysna, that when I Google Earth it, you'd zoom in, the whole waterfront there is a water dragon. It's very visible. The confirmations of these are our boundaries, these are the lines, this is where you need to come. Anyway, getting his information of Black Lake or Garrick's Point. Well, Black Lake, isn't that funny? It's called Svartley in Afrikaans. And the Black Dragon, we're doing this for the Black Dragon. It's called Black Lake. And then we have George and a water dragon on the site. It was just incredible, the synchronicities. And then went to the beach out in front of that on the ocean side of where Black Lake sits. If you go straight out to the ocean there's a place called Garrick's Point, which is a very powerful vortex spot also. A lot of energy there. We went to check it out because that was one of the 4 spots that we were feeling. Well, I realized that it was the center of the bay that needed an activation, that needed to be opened. And standing in the very center of the bay, which is right in front of this little parking area, I realized there were 2 dragons on either side. Going to George, to the Gwang River mouth, my whole reason for going there, it wasn't about that being the activation site, it was about waking up that guardian dragon that's sitting there. And he's very visible in the rocks. As soon as I dropped down, I went, whoa, hello. And he needed to be woken up. So I had a male dragon, a female dragon, a male dragon, and out on Britannot Sea, another female dragon in that ridge. And they're the guardians of that crown chakra. They have been holding space for it all this time. And as I got out on the beach by Garrick's Point and got to meet these 2 and sing them awake and feel that, then this beautiful ring of energy between the 3 of us, because I did ask Charles and Deveshni to circle up with me and hold space. And some energetics happened. I don't need to go into all that, but the doorway opened that evening. So at 5:55 p.m. the night before the activation, so 12 hours before and then 12 hours after, the whole portal was open. And I felt it open and the energies just start slowly coming in. But when we got up the next morning and went back to Black Lake, beautiful land called the Sanctuary, owned by a beautiful soul who is actually building and creating a sanctuary spot there, retreat center, which when it's online I will highly recommend already because the energy of the space is amazing. But we had a beautiful circle. We aligned with the circle of people up in Egypt, and this was an incredible experience. You go in with no expectation, it's going to be powerful, but it brought me to my knees in tears. It was such a heart opening, and to experience and see the black female dragon actually wake up was profound. Got to see her eye open in the center of circle, looking up at me and very curious about what's going on. And I finally realized what she's going through. So if you imagine that you have been asleep, sometimes we get so sleepy we take a nap in the middle of the day, or you go into that really deep sleep between like 5 and 6 or 5 and 7 a.m. and you come out of it and you're really groggy and you're just like, whoa, where am I? You open, you're like, am I in a house? What world am I in? You're so out of it. And I realized that's what's happening for her. She's been comatose. She's been in a deep, deep, deep sleep state for all of these thousands of years. So as she's coming up and out, she's really curious. She's like, what is this? And then as it dawns on her who she is, where she is, what she's doing, the rage came. Because then the memory came in. And she did have to have her Akashic records actually reinserted or like funneled into her and activated. And I'm so grateful that one of my Dragon Hearts who was in Egypt, he has a very specific link to the Pleiades and to the Akashic records and the dragons that hold those. And so he was able to, he felt called to do that in several different spots. And I know that really helped. And each of us that were actually involved had an experience, even my Dragon Hearts back in the States that were aligning with us, of having a need to lay our third eye on the altar space into her third eye and have some transmission happen. So we were helping her wake up, helping her memory kick in. And then she had this rage, and I saw she was pissed off, right? So you wake up and you realize, and you have all the memory of, wow, it's like being assaulted. It's like any woman who's gone through a sexual assault, a rape, being a victim of any kind of abuse, squashing and that weight on you and that feeling the masculine come at you, feeling the attack come, and the rage that rises within you because of that can't be expressed. It gets smothered, right? And then all of a sudden you wake up and you feel your heart cracking open and you are pissed. And that's where she was at. And so having myself and a couple other people engaged in consistently meditating with her and connecting with her heart to heart and saying, no, humans are ready for you now. We are ready to see you and open to your gifts and help you come back online, help you come back into what you're supposed to be doing. And that was the other piece. It was so beautiful that the awareness came, because I've known that the black dragons, they transmute the shadow for the collective. They hold that space in the planet to really move a lot of the shadow energies out. And so the male black dragon has had the role of taking on what she wasn't doing. He's been overloaded for several thousand years trying to move all this stuff out of the collective consciousness and, you know, keep the planet actually functioning where energetically, like, it's maintaining some level of stability. And that's one of the roles they have, is helping process that shadow stuff. So what I found interesting was I had a really deep realization, not realizing that he hadn't been able to do all of the shadow work. He'd been doing a majority of it, but there were pieces that were only able to be done by the female. And that came 2 days later when I got to have my own process. And after doing all the work and being there for everybody else, my own integration and dropping through came in a beautiful way. And as I allowed my heart to crack open and remember all these pieces and just drop all the masculine pain that was within me and have a lot of forgiveness go out to all those places where my heart had been just shattered and walls up and all those things that I've done a load of work on for years. You probably have too. It was this final piece, just forgiveness coming through, healing coming through. And as that happened, I felt her have this realization of, whoa, this is what I do. Oh, I do this. I transmute this energy for the feminine. And that in turn gave me the realization of, whoa, this is the piece that hasn't been done for thousands of years. Hello. Now I know why. You know, we've got all these awful things in the world with slave trade, sex slave trading, and child prostitution rings, and so many areas of abuse and violence against women where it's not getting better, right? We've had all these different factions and organizations and efforts trying to get rid of it, trying to mitigate, trying to remove it and get that out of our system, out of the collective, out of humanity's, like, you know, existence, right? And there's been very little headway made on that happening. And I realized why. It's because the feminine shadow has not been able to be cleared. And so as that feminine shadow can now be cleared, I feel like, wow, the doors are wide open for some headway, some ground to be made on reversing all of those pieces, on getting them out of our psyche, on moving us into balance. So what does this mean as we move forward? We've got this opening, this potential going into fifth dimension and beyond. We're still working on unpinning all of the grids from 3D and unpinning I realized too that we're unpinning our own grids. And you might be starting to feel that, wow, there's a piece of myself unpinning from the 3D way of being, of how things have always been done here. I'm not buying into it anymore. I'm unpinning myself from that grid and I'm pinning myself into the magical openings and flow of the fifth dimensional plane. I didn't even see that mirror until now, but everything that happens on the bigger scale happens on the smaller. Everything on the smaller happens on the bigger. So when I shared about Sedona and the unpinning of the grids, that's my job as I go around the world and with small groups and unpin the grids, but it's happening within us at the same time. So you're going to start feeling that. And boy, are we going to have it overnight? Are we going to, all right, now we're in 1,000 years peace and we got sacred union, everything's good. Well, and not really. It just means the pendulum is swinging. We've moved through the doorway and we're leaving that old stuff behind, which allows the new to come in. And it's going to be a process. There's a healing process that happens as we go forward with that. So we're allowing the healing to happen. We're going to be moving forward and allowing shift and change. But I feel like it's going to be more rapid than we expected because she's finally online. And so, yes, we're moving into a different era. You're going to feel that as you open and move towards that. Hi, Trinity. Good to see you. And hi, Caitlin. Nice to see you. So just be aware that whole 2-week process while I was in Egypt and South Africa, that brought up a lot of emotional turmoil for some people. It brought up highs and lows as you're touching a shadow and then touching this heart expansion and touching the shadow and touching the heart expansion. That's going to continue for a while. There's an opportunity for more and more and more release, but it's getting easier and there's higher frequencies that are making themselves available and so many dragons online to help. I cannot tell you besides those main four and the black dragon herself, when her netting came away, and even when I was in Egypt, we started seeing it, there were dragons caught in her netting. There were others that are underground there that have been waiting to be released with her, almost like holding space with her or part of that, and their own psyche being suppressed. And there are dragons everywhere in South Africa. I can't wait to start seeing other countries as I go, because that to me was a homecoming. Everywhere I went, there were dragons to be awakened. Was going to touch back on this piece, this dragon in the Table Mountain where his back sits. I went up to the top of Table Mountain and I was able to see the topo map of the area. And you can see very clearly there's actually two dragons in that ridge. Him and then a much bigger female. And the reason he wanted me to come visit, and I felt it was at the end of the trip, he said, as I tuned in and just sat with him on his back, I kept hearing, just wake my mom, wake my mom, wake my mom. Okay, so I looked like, where's your mom? And so looking at the map, I realized, oh my goodness, his mom is face to face, nose to nose with him across the bay, but she's a little further underground. She's been there much longer and like been asleep much longer. And so he actually came to find her, found her asleep, went ahead and slept next to her, and was waiting and waiting for someone to come that could help. And that happened to be me, and he recognized me as soon as I landed in Cape Town on the plane and called me there. It was so incredible. Hi, Sue, good to see you. And so just putting that out there, that those of you that are connected to the dragons, you're going to start feeling that call. You're going to start seeing more in the landscapes and the skies around you. And if they need you in service, they give so much to us. Just ask, what do you need? Maybe they need a sibling woken up. Maybe they need something retrieved. Maybe they need some netting pulled off of them. Who knows what? But allow that to happen. Follow your own gut instinct and guidance to just connect with them. And so it was beautiful. Got to see her wake up. And it was happening everywhere. I did feel like I'm definitely going to be going back to South Africa. I feel like Namibia is calling me now. I had that come up 3 times during the week. Always when you have stuff come up over and over, like day after day, that was out of left field for you, you got to pay attention to it, right? So 3 days in a row, I had something about Namibia come in. Never really even thought about, where is that? What is that? I know it's a country in Africa, but other than that, I haven't known much. Well, there are a lot of dragons sleeping there, and a whole beautiful area that I need to go explore and wake some dragons up in. So I'm looking forward to when that happens to get back there. Anyway, the female black dragon is back online. She's back in remembering how to transmute, and any of you that want to send love to her and connect with her, we're affectionately calling her Silky right now. She's got her big long name, but one of my new dragon friends in South Africa had a meditation with her right after the activation, and had been calling her Silky just because she felt like it, and I thought, I think she likes that. So we're going to go ahead and use Silky. So you want to connect with Silky and just send her love, send her just your blessing to help her process her own rage with the masculine and that suppression, and let her know how many humans want to connect with her, how much love is coming her way, and that she's not going to be suppressed again, that there isn't going to be hatred and all that coming down on her, and she can just expand and blossom and do her full part and her full job. Hi, Teresa. I hope they're beautiful and empowering stories. They were beautiful and empowering to live, and that's why I wanted to share them. I'm very excited to be back with you guys. I apologize that it just didn't work out to do lives while I was there. There were no signals in between hotel stays, and then it was night and we were exhausted. And so I feel like it was just all perfect for everything to just be quiet for a while. And now we're kicking back into gear because I'm just launching the Eye of the Dragon program. That's the new 4-month immersion into work with the dragons to really get you where you're walking with them, where you can see as them, you can work in their eye in the highest level with them, and that is going to run from February 5th to May 28th. Why starting then? I knew it would start in January after my break at the end of the Dragonheart program. We've got 1 month left. I can't believe it. The 9-month Way of the Dragonheart ends on December 21st on the solstice. And then I am going to be taking a couple weeks off. It's been a very full plate year for me. And when I get back from that, I'm leaving a couple weeks open because the Lunar New Year felt like the right time to start. So to fit a 4-month program in starting February 5th, you think, wow, that's far out. That's so far away. Why do we want to launch or do an application now? Well, it's only 9 spots. It's very limited. That's so that I have enough time for all the one-on-one sessions and to keep it a tight, intimate sphere of work. And if you want to get your spot, you got to make sure and get an application in. There's an interview process. So I'm asking everyone to do an application first so that I can see your connection with the dragons where you're at now. And then I will set up phone calls with everybody to actually go over the details of the program, because it is an investment. It is a commitment to a group and to yourself for those 4 months. And I'm really excited about it, because seeing the transformations that happen for all the people in the Dragonheart program and seeing where they are with actually walking in their Dragonheart, it worked. It was my first time running the program. I'm so glad I was divinely inspired by it to do it. The dragons were like, this is what needs to happen, go. And now they're saying, all right, let's do a 4 month. Let's do something smaller that's not quite as big of a commitment. That's the preparation work for the Dragonheart program. So that this is the groundwork. If you know you are a Dragonheart and you want to really connect with that in a bigger way, during the Dragonheart program later on, the next time I offer it will be when this one completes. And it's going to be a prerequisite, most likely. I want everybody really ready and on board to go into that Dragonheart work. So applications are available now. There is a post from this morning about that. You can email me for it. I will be creating an event page probably soon for it, but just for now, if you're interested, just send me an email and I'll get you the information. So Araya@dragonwithin.com or Araya@invokehealing.com, or you can instant message me through here. If you know that you don't want to wait till February because it feels like, wow, that's really far away, but you know what, with the holidays coming, we get so busy. There's no time for book clubs right now. You might not feel like you have time for a 12-week program or some one-on-one work. You might feel actually like, Christmas coming up, I'm stressed. I actually would like a session, just a one-off. I do those too, but it's actually going to be here before we know it. And getting through the holidays and then getting through the jam of the first, January, we get all these things in motion, and it's like, don't overload yourself. Set it up, beginning of February, enter softly, and we have all the way until the end of May, and then everybody all free for the summer, right? You can go and make your travel plans after May 28th and go do what you need to do. But I'm excited about it. It's just, I'm excited. So let me know if you're keen to have some information. And if you do need work before then, of course, contact me. Or dragon readings. I do still do the 20-minute dragon readings. And I do have 20-minute free discovery calls if you're not sure what's right for you. What's the best thing? What do you want to get out of it? And what do I have to offer? And maybe we can mix and match and find what works, and even see if we're a great fit to work together. So looking forward to all of our future work together. Thank you so much for coming on and being here. I really missed actually connecting with you guys. I love this time every Thursday, and look forward to next week when we'll be back to do it again. All right, have a great afternoon, everybody. Thanks for listening and feeling my shares and experiencing them with me. I will see you next time. Lots of love and dragon hugs. Bye.